have Spirit Raptors again.
Right, and start.
Spirit Raptors are yeah.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Duckmick here, and I'm back today in the Everbloom, continuing with the updated challenge mode guides. Now today I'm on my DK, as being on a DK in Everbloom makes your life a fucking hell of a lot easier. So to start off guys, we're going to pre-pot, we're going to mount up, and we're going to run around this corner. We're going to grab the 3 set packs and these 2 padding ones. Now just a heads up to tanks for this one, you are going to take a fair bit of fucking damage straight off the bat here. It is probably one of the hardest parts in this instance, so be quite liberal with your cooldowns. Next, you want to grip them up, you want to pop all your cooldowns, and you just want to fucking mash your big dick all over your keyboard. Rotate your stuns, your frag belts, make sure that you are locking them down as best you can. These packs are made up of Tenders, Berserkers, and Naturalists. Now, the Naturalists, they cast Barrage of Leaves, which you want to interrupt if 2 or 3 go off on someone, and they can have the ability to absolutely melt them. The Berserkers do a Breath you want to interrupt, and the Tenders cast Enraged Growth, which will empower an ad, and they'll do a fuck ton of damage. Now, as you can see, we are the special kids on the bus that can't get up this fucking ledge, so we lose a fair bit of time doing this as well. If you have a Hunter, get them to Glyph Disengage, they can get up no worries, and Warriors can also Heroic Leap up there. If you don't have those options, you are just going to have to wait for somebody to get up there, and then you are going to have to get them to get on a 2-seated mount so you can mount your way to happiness. So then we're going to run down to the Pools of Life, guys. There's going to be 3 set packs down here in the padding 2, and we are going to grab all of them. So what that means is you are going to get 4 Menders and 7 Naturalists. So again, guys, we want to group them up. We want to start rotating our stuns, and we want to go big dick yet again. Now, guys, the Naturalists, as I said, reminder, they cast the Barrage of Leaves. If a couple get off on people, they do fucking hurt. So do your best to lock them down. The mobs of interest, though, are the Menders. They will cast a heal. We want to try and minimize as many heals that get off. Reason being is the longer they're alive, obviously the more time you're wasting. So try and get them down. We've got 2 Mirror of the Blademaster trinkets, and as you can see, they just fucking dominate AoE packs in challenge modes. So if you do have that option, it is a huge advantage. So once they're down, Witherbark is going to spring to life, and if you're on a Brewmaster or a Warrior, start off in the middle. On the first Parched Ghast, use your roll or your Heroic Leap to go over to this wall, and you'll avoid having to waste anything or take any damage. On a DK, I'm just AMSing the first one, and then I'm rune tapping the second one. You can see over there, Blix on the left has a green triangle on her head. Witherbark will cast a thing called Unchecked Growth, which is like a vine that will chase someone. When it hits them, it will put a trap down, which you can see to the left there. And we want to try and create a barrier around Witherbark to stop the water orbs from reaching him. Now, eventually, when he gets dehydrated, he will cast Brittlebark, which increases his damage taken by 100%. And this is where, again, you want to get your dick out and just go big. Now, I've just noticed for the first time here, I actually forgot to press my fucking pot here, which is pretty nubbed by me and loses a lot of DPS. So you want to try and minimize dumb shit like that. You can see our Rogue's having a pretty bad time single target as well. If 4 orbs get through to Witherbark, I think it is 4, his Brittlebark phase will end, and your aim, guys, is to pop hero in this Brittlebark phase and kill him in the 1 phase. You really should be able to as well. We've failed. As you can see, he's come out then at, I think he came out at about 1.5%. But you really do want to manage to kill him in that first phase. We did have a fair few water orbs get through to him though. So the new spot to jump up is here, guys. Get on a mammoth or some kind of big mount, and you want to run and jump onto this jutting vine out of the wall and just continue to spam the space bar to get up. Now, I usually don't have any problems whatsoever getting up there, but the first time I did this, I came in and I fucked it up, and then I just wanted to avoid any embarrassment, so I just jumped on Juice's mount. Big shout out to you, Juice God. So next, guys, as the DK tank, you want to pre-pot, you want to run in here, and you are going to grab all these mages. Now, the one that we want is this Putrid Pyromancer here, because we want to Dark Sim its Dragon's Breath. So I'm collecting all these, I'm waiting for the Dragon's Breath, I'm Dark Simming, I'm popping my army, then I'm going to grip them all up, and I'm going to Dragon's Breath. Now, you can see straight off the bat on the damage meter down there just how much fucking damage Dragon's Breath does. So again, make sure that you're using that. I certainly didn't sort of talk about it in my first guides, and it is a huge advantage to having a DK in Everbloom. Then you just want to make sure that you're locking them down. We've got our Blademaster trinkets going off again, stun rotations, frag belts, and try and lock them down as best as you can. Now, the mages are made up of 3 types of mages: the Putrid Pyromancer, which does the Dragon's Breath and the Fireballs, the Frost Mages, who will freeze you and cast the Frost Bolts, and the Arcane Mages, which do an Arcane Blast, and the Black Hole, which is behind me at the moment. Every time you kill the mages, guys, one of the mages, it will spawn a spore image of itself. They just do basic casts. They don't have a lot of HP, but you do still need to kill them. So get them down as quick as you can. And we actually got through this fairly cleanly, but then we kind of get fucked up by RNG here. You can see these two mages up the top of my screen there. They're padding all the way over to the left. We really want that Putrid Pyromancer. So now we just have to stand here and wait. So we lose a fair bit of time having to stand here and wait for it to pat all the way back, which is really unfortunate, but it's just the way it goes. But what we want is we want to get that Putrid Pyromancer because we want the Dragon's Breath to use it to kill the boss. So what we do is there's two mages in that little padding pat there. So we're going to hex one, we're going to grip the Putrid Pyromancer over, and then you want to roots it straight away and leave it off to the side roots. Now we fucked that up too, but ideally this is what you want to do. And ideally you want to focus Dark Sim macro, you want to have that Putrid Pyromancer on focus, grip it, roots it, run over, pull Archmage Soul. When the Dragon's Breath goes off, use your focus macro and then leave it all the way out there rooted and use Dragon's Breath on the boss here. Now you can see our roots has been broken and it is running over to us. It really needed to be rerouted on the outside. You do not want the Putrid Pyromancer in with the boss and your melee, and you can see why in a second. You can see Caterin's got his cloak up. It's off in 1 second. It finishes and he gets Dragon's Breath. So he cops a lot of damage. We lose his DPS for a bit while he's disorientated, and you can see him down the bottom there. It's just having a fucking shit old time after that. You will get 2 Dragon's Breath through this fight, and that's the reason you really want to leave it on the outside. Now I'm in a shit position here using my second one. A Fire Blossom goes off right on my asshole, and I take a fucking ass ton of damage. So again, there, just watch your positioning. The Fire Blossoms aren't hard, guys. You want to leave her Archmage Soul in fire phase for as long as you can and just jump the fire lines. At the third Parasitic Growth, which is now, we're going to interrupt and push her into frost phase. Note, guys, if you are struggling a little bit, you can grounding reflect the Frozen Rain. Just pop your grounding totem down first, then run into the Frozen Rain, but she's pretty much dead by this time anyway, and it's not a problem. You really do want to watch, though, that you do not interrupt a Parasitic Growth when she is in Frost phase. If you do that, it'll push it into Arcane phase, and it will just completely fuck-ass your group up. So remember, guys, leave in fire, jump the Fire Blossoms, third Parasitic Growth, interrupt, put into frost phase, and just leave her there until she's dead. It is pretty much the hardest. The hardest section is the first pull on the mage boss. If you get through this, you pretty much are home and hosed. It just depends on how much you fuck things up as to how quick your time is. Now again, so now our totem pulls the extra mage here as well. We're killing our hexed one, and I think we lose about a minute and 10 or a minute and 20 seconds doing this. So through all the fuck-ups, which there are still a few to come, we probably could have had about a 14 and a half minute Everbloom run, which would have been quite decent by normal people standards. And we end up having about a 16-minute 20 run. So a lot of mistakes lead to a lot of shit, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. So remember, guys, once you kill the mages, you are going to get their spore images. So you can see we're killing the spore images here. And once they're down, we're going to go to the spider boss next. So get this down as quick as we possibly can. You could probably even, realistically, when you're doing the boss, once it's nearly dead, you could probably start on your Putrid Pyromancer and your other one to save a little bit of time that you had hexed. So mount up, we're going to skip the padding spider. So run over to the right here, jump down onto this ledge, and we're going to run around up this little ledge here and into the cave, or into the burrow, I should say, as it says right there. Now this boss, guys, is really fucking boring. You should not have any problems here. Get down the bottom, click on the eggs to start the event, which is really what I should have done. And you're pretty much going to have to go through an event with 3 spiderlings each time, and it is boring as fuck, and I am going to try and talk a little bit slower now so I don't run out of things to say. Now the spiders, guys, you are going to have 3 different spiderlings in them. There's going to be a toxic spiderling, a venom sprayer, and a gorge buster. Now the gorge buster is going to fixate, so you can't tank it, guys. So just make sure that you are staying sort of together in your party so you continue to cleave everything down. There's going to be a venom crazed pale one that spawns. Again, they really don't do much. Pick them up, you can grip them over to you, you can stun them, so make sure you're using all that kind of stuff and just get them down as quick as you can. They're not an issue in phase 1. They do, however, become a little bit of a problem in phase 2 as they will run to these gas clouds here of poo color. You can see them. Every time you kill a spider, you will get a poo colored cloud. You don't want to stand in, they do a fair bit of damage, but these crazed pale ones in phase 2 will go and inhale them. If they successfully inhale one, they become a Hulk and they do a fair bit of damage, and you want to avoid this. So as I said, you can stun them, you can grip them out of it, and that is exactly what you want to do in phase 2. We, however, don't. We actually fuck that up too, and it turns into a Hulk. We still manage, but again, it's not ideal. It's not what you want to do. And that is pretty much it for this phase 1, guys. You'll have your fair few waves to go through, as you've seen, but you can see none of it really does any damage, and you shouldn't have any problems. So this is the last wave now of the 3 that we're killing. So get them down. The boss is going to drop down. Watch your positioning. Tanks don't obviously tank the boss in clouds where your melee don't have access. So the boss is down now, and the boss is going to cast 2 things. It's going to cast a Toxic Bolt and a Venom Sting. You want to have people assigned or calling out their interrupts from that. You can see at the top of the screen the Venom Crazed Pale one. I've just put an Asphyx on it. I really probably should have just gripped it over. Would have been a much fucking better idea. Now it's inhaling. I could have gripped it over. Anyone could have stunned it, but we just do nothing, and it turns into a Hulk, which is really bad. It's really dumb. Now, a nice little trick here, guys, if you have a shaman in your group. In phase 2, the boss, there it is going to consume the crazed pale one. Now, if you have a shaman, you can just hex the ad and it will completely stop that mechanic from occurring. So it is a fucking nice little time saver, and it is well worth doing. I don't know if it works the same on polymorph or whatnot, but it definitely does work on hex, and it is a huge time saver. If you don't have this option, make sure you get the crazed pale one down to about 50% when the boss goes to consume it. Switch hard to the ad and kill it. If you don't kill the ad before it's consumed, the boss will get a fucking ass ton of HP back, and you have pretty much just shot yourself in the foot for gold. So just be wary of that. About halfway up this burrow, you can mount up. So get up here, mount up, watch the padding spider, and you're going to go down the side, the left side here to protectors. Now, protectors, realistically, you shouldn't have too many problems on. It's just about interrupts pretty much. On a DK, you have a huge advantage. You can just run into the middle and use your Gorfiends to group them up. No worries, straight off the bat. Now, you want to have pretty much 2 people assigned on Gola. One person's going to be assigned to interrupting Rapid Tides. If Rapid Tides does get off, you do need a way to purge that off straight away. And somebody else needs to be interrupting Revitalizing Waters. Sorry, it's called the heal there, which just went and we interrupted. So you want to have somebody interrupting Rapid Tides and somebody interrupting Revitalizing Waters on Gola. The next is you want to have somebody on Tilu either interrupting or dark simming the bramble patches. Now you can also grounding reflect the bramble patch. If you are going to do that, make sure that you put the grounding totem down first and then run into it to apply the debuff. It does about 40k a tick, so it is well worth doing, same as dark simming it. The biggest thing here, guys, though, is that you want to be trying to kill all of these at the same time. And you can see we've just killed Gola. Tilu's on 1 million HP and Dulu is on 2.6 mil HP. So we've failed miserably at that as well. Tanks, you need to make sure that you're strafing out of the Noxious Eruption, as it will punt you back and do a bit of damage. If you get punted back into ads or something like that, though, it is obviously a huge time waster, and your group's probably not going to think very good thoughts about you. So just make sure you're clearing out of that. It's certainly not hard. You can see we've just managed to kill Tilu there, and Dulu is now dropping. So again, we lost a lot of time on this as well, just due to not sort of being organized. People were obviously smashing down Gola, and you really want to be cleaving off Dulu, so to speak, or you do want to try and match them up so you're killing the 3 at the same time so you can get out of there quicker. So now that that's done, we're going to mount up and we're going to run all the way to the last boss. Now, the reason we do the mage boss second is so we can skip the RP here for the portal and getting this little vine wall down. So you can see we're right to just run straight into the portal now. Now, the last boss, guys, Yalnu. You really shouldn't have too many issues on here. It's the last place that we're going to use hero. Make sure that you're pre-potting as you are running down. I don't know if I've stressed it enough in this instance, guys, but pre-potting every time you're out of combat and you are running into a boss fight or even just a big mob pool, make sure you're pre-potting. The biggest thing I forget is to fucking combat pot most of the time, but you know, you really want to get on top of that stuff, as it will save you a shitload of time. Now, Yalnu, as you can see, is going to cast a big frontal cone smash called Colossus Blow, and you don't want to be standing in that. If you're not the tank, it will pretty much one-shot you in challenge mode, so you really do need to watch out for that. Periodically, Yelnu's going to cast this thing called Genesis, which is all the little petals on the ground, and you want to run over and collect them. You don't realistically need to collect all of them. You could just collect the ones in the immediate area. If you are just going for gold, though, and you are struggling a bit, I probably would suggest getting all of them. The mages around, you can see casting the big purple orbs of shit and things like that are going to put fire on the ground, and you want to stand. This is the one fight, guys, as a tank that you want to get everything and stand in the fire. The reason being is the fire actually helps kill the adds. Another thing in this fight is you want to make sure that you are hard switching to entanglements. If somebody gets entangled, make sure you switch and get them out of entanglement as a priority. These little vicious Mandragoras, I think they're called, that cast that green spewy breath. You can Dark Sim it, and that's what I was supposed to do, but being a retard, I actually put Dark Sim on fucking Yelnu as I was moving to do it. So I pretty much lose a lot of DPS there, and I waste Dark Sim. So far from optimal yet again in this run. It really has been a shit one to upload, but that's just sort of how it goes. Make sure you're using your mass grip. Make sure you're getting these adds or just collecting them and putting them in the fire. Brewmaster's a statue, just works fine. Just in the middle, they'll all just flock to that. But make sure you do try and keep them in the fire, as it is a huge advantage. That is pretty much it. You can see here I've been entangled, and I've been entangled in a Colossus blow, and I nearly fucking perish. Make sure you're using your health pots as well. I probably haven't stressed that enough in here as well. Health pots, health pots, health pots. And that is pretty much it, guys. You really shouldn't have too many problems if you sort of follow those rules. Get your entanglements, tank in the fire, and don't stand in the big frontal bad cone. But that is it, guys. Lots of mistakes, but that is an updated guide on the Everbloom. Hopefully that's helped you out, or if you're just off gold, it's given you a few tips. And if anything else you need, guys, please let me know, and I'll try and help you out as best I can. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya.